you know, he made $100 million, you know, and he's his own boss. He can say and do what he wants to do, having a great team.
Yeah.
Because no one person can do it by himself. That was the core of the team.
Gotcha.
You know, and it was a tremendous sacrifice, you know, especially for me. I worked like 15 years straight, 7 days a week, 20 hours a day.
Wow.
You know, that whole middle part of my life,
yeah,
it didn't exist. It didn't exist.
And now you have this egg on your face and things are falling apart. And now people are wondering, did you get screwed, or was it your own financial ignorance, and now you're bitter?
People taking shots at a great fighter, Mayweather. Probably the same people that were, applauding him and saying how great he was at one point, and now they're taking shots at him like they're almost, like they get pleasure out of seeing a great fall, potentially.
You're right,
fall.
but when you call yourself the money man, you do it to yourself a little bit too.
No, I can't argue with that.
Leonard Ellerbe recently shared his view on claims that Floyd Mayweather Jr. blew through his $1.1 billion fortune and ended up broke, saying the situation seemed predictable. Having worked closely with Mayweather in the past, he said he observed lavish spending habits that could eventually lead to significant financial issues.
Saying from day one what it is that, and they know, everybody laughed at me. They laughed at me. They say, oh, you know, he just talking nonsense. I've been told, all of you.
Leonard Ellerbe explains that as Floyd Mayweather Jr. reached massive fame and success, criticism was inevitable, and the true challenge lies in how he chooses to respond to it.
At the end of the day, when you're on top, when you're at the top, you can expect criticism. It just comes with success, and it's all about how you handle things. And me personally, none of it's personal. None of it's personal.
Leonard Ellerbe says that Floyd Mayweather Jr. could have developed a strong business career if he had approached his ventures with greater focus and made more careful decisions.
Who formed his own company,
right?
But he was the first one that had a team surrounded by him. That our focus was the business, and his focus was the boxing. And in turn, we built the brand, built Mayweather Promotions.
Yeah.
And Floyd became his own boss.
Wow.
And that was.
Logan Paul mocked Floyd Mayweather Jr., claiming he is still waiting to be paid the $1.5 million he says remains unpaid from their exhibition bout.
Because he's still waiting on the 1.5 from Floyd Mayweather. He made this video simultaneously with the beef with Le'Veon, and I don't know, maybe it's coincidence, maybe it isn't.
Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao 2. The fight nobody asked for except me. I need this because if Floyd wins, he can finally pay me my 1.5 million. I don't care about the legacy fight. I don't care that these men have a combined age of 100 years. I care that Floyd Mayweather, the best boxer alive, uses those same hands that made him 100 million to Venmo me my money. And Floyd, if you're watching this, win it and pay me back or I'm gonna send my goons after you. Gotcha. Hey.
I really don't know why I watched that. Yeah, listen, dude. Logan is, again, functionally a coward for not doing this. I was really excited for it, too. I couldn't wait. That was about to be content, son. But, I mean, okay, yes, I understand if he is under WWE contract, they're not going to allow him to.
Teddy Atlas observed that many who once supported Floyd Mayweather Jr. are now turning against him, mocking him and laughing at what they see as his biggest downfall.
Oh, yeah, like you said, he was Mayweather, Money Mayweather, and now he's suing because he went through his money, blew his money, whatever. Look, I don't know what the truth is fully in there. I know Steven Espinoza was named. He ran Showtime at the time. He was named him. I never was a fan of Espinoza. Again, I'm not afraid to say and not mince my words when I feel a certain way. And and I've taken arrows for it, and of course I've also taken some praise for it. That people say, hey, Teddy's going to say what he feels. I was never a fan of him. I never thought he was a man that kept his word. I never thought he really did a great job over at Showtime. I mean, they put some good fights on because the fights were available, because the landscape made.
WAC 100 says Floyd Mayweather Jr. isn't broke, arguing that he remains wealthy in peace of mind and unbothered by rumors or public opinion about his life and career.
Floyd is rich at right now?
What's that?
His peace of mind. When I send him things, like I send you things when it's pertaining to you, when he gets the time, he'll call me and he say, hey, Wack, what's that? And I tell him, he said, that's nonsense. He said, well, as long as they trying to figure me out, they not gonna be able to figure out what they need to do. And he continues to move. I will say this without saying too much, that I've seen him pass on some big deals based upon business he already has on the table. But again, I've been to his home. I talk to him regular. He's my business.
Paulie Malignaggi says that if Floyd Mayweather Jr. had kept his finances more private, people likely wouldn't question his wealth, but his constant public displays led others to closely scrutinize his money.
Was seeing how much Floyd was making, right? And Floyd himself was flaunting himself like he was the guy who was making that kind of money. And for all intents and purposes, I assume he was. Everybody assumed he was, and it seemed like he thought he was because he wasn't complaining. He was showing off, you know? This is why, as I get older, I feel like, and everybody always tells you this when you're young, like, keep your finances private, you know, and this is why I think this is a big reason why. First and foremost, you notice that if you don't keep your finances private, everybody and their mothers ask you for money constantly. And they don't ask you for...
That happens either way.
And they don't ask you... Well, people assume you have money, but if you flaunt it, you definitely... They confirm you have money. And they don't ask you for money like you need to buy the Rolex or the Lamborghini. They'll guilt you into it. They need their mother's dying in the hospital. They need to pay for a funeral. Their kid is sick. Like, they guilt you into it, and you almost feel bad not giving it.
A boxing analyst breaks down the unexpected financial decline of Floyd Mayweather Jr., once known for openly showcasing his wealth. Over the years, Mayweather worked alongside key figures like Steven Espinoza and the Showtime Network, but he is now reportedly suing them for $340 million, alleging undisclosed unpaid earnings. Meanwhile, Al Heyman, his longtime advisor, is not directly tied to the case. The analyst notes that legal disputes continue to build around Mayweather, adding pressure to his situation. They also suggest that his lavish lifestyle, featuring an extensive collection of luxury cars, expensive jewelry, and even a private jet, may have played a role in his current financial challenges.
That we are going to go through in this video. Now, I've been covering boxing for double-digit years. Allow me to take you through it. A simple Google search shows Floyd Mayweather. You type in his name, you're going to see some fight photos and whatnot. But the top stories, and there's multiple stories, and we're going to take a look at some of them. But as mentioned, Business Insider is now reporting what you see on the screen, that Floyd Mayweather is being accused in lawsuits of owing millions of dollars for luxury watches, gold, and rent on palatial apartment, right? The bullet points. Floyd was sued for allegedly failing to pay rent on a luxurious duplex in
luxury residences, high rental costs, and mounting unpaid bills began to pile up, eventually leading to legal disputes involving Floyd Mayweather Jr. One Miami couple who owned a condo he leased reported that he fell behind by nearly $500,000 in rent, and after making initial payments, he allegedly stopped responding to efforts to recover the money. Analysts say this pattern of excessive spending, poor financial management, and dependence on others for key money decisions eventually caught up with Mayweather. They stress that fame and massive earnings don't ensure long-term financial security, and even elite athletes can face serious financial trouble if their wealth isn't handled carefully.
This sum represents the $500,000 in arrears plus late fees minus a deposit that Mayweather paid at the start of the lease and the $100,000 catch-up payment. So they deducted what he did submit when he was made aware of this, the $100K, and I guess a deposit. So the remaining balance is that. An attorney for Mayweather did not provide a comment by deadline. He has not responded to the lawsuit in court. In a separate legal matter, so we've already went over one with this luxury condo in Manhattan, right? But a separate legal matter, a Miami jeweler sued Floyd Mayweather last month, alleging the boxer owes more than $1 million for jewelry that he took but never.
Paulie Malignaggi and Chris Algieri break down how Floyd Mayweather Jr., despite earning massive sums, could run into financial trouble. Malignaggi explains that it's difficult to understand how someone operating at Mayweather's level could allow such large amounts of money to slip away unnoticed, comparing everyday luxury spending like high-end jewelry to the scale of Mayweather's earnings, which go far beyond typical financial management. Algieri adds that during the peak of Mayweather's career, even losing track of the income from a single fight could result in major financial setbacks, and over time, repeated oversights and miscalculations can compound into serious problems.
I don't know, like there's guys who have a lot of money, okay? For me, I could go into a jewelry store, spend 20,000 at the time, like nothing. Like, you know what, I didn't plan on going there. I bought a Ferrari. I went to with my friend to go check out a Ferrari he was gonna buy. I went there and I'm like, I got this in my account, I could buy this right now. You know, like that, you know? And I'm not saying that's smart, what I'm saying is,
your accountant must have loved you.
yeah, really. but what I'm saying is, I got good money for that when I sold it.
I'm just
The used car market came back at the time. But anyway, what I'm saying is, it could go like that, okay? That kind of money. But bro, 340 million? That's not Ferrari, bro. That's a lot of Ferraris, a lot of houses.
But Floyd had a lot of Ferraris. And that's the thing about Floyd. Like, yes, is that way too much money? Yes, that's a crazy amount.
340 million?
Paulie Malignaggi compares the situation to past cases, pointing to fighters like Mike Tyson who faced major financial losses due to poor management and being taken advantage of. Both analysts stress that the financial concerns surrounding Floyd Mayweather Jr. didn't appear suddenly a decade after he earned huge sums. The situation suggests that someone may have raised concerns or is currently reviewing his financial records. Overall, the discussion highlights that fame and wealth don't automatically ensure financial stability, even for some of the biggest earners in sports.
Lack of an entire fight person, more than one fight, multiple fight
at the height of your career.
$340 million. There's nights where you didn't make that much money in a night.
But we heard about stuff like this with Mike Tyson back in the day. Yeah. Big money losses, people taking advantage of him, a number of different things. Now, all that being said and done, 10 years is the point. That is the major point of all of this. Because when you look about this now, 10 years, where does this come from? It makes me think that someone's gotten in his ear. And maybe, where does this come from out of nowhere? Is he going through the books now, 10 years later? No, of course not. Someone else is. Someone else is probably telling him, hey man, this is like this, this is like that. So you
think it did happen?
I don't know. I think someone, regardless of whether it happened or it didn't,
but that's what I'm wondering.
Unless it's coming out of nowhere, unless he literally is just getting
because he's losing his mind, because there's a lot of rumors about him losing money, right?
Losing money, being I don't want to say destitute, but the old saying, how the mighty.
Dan Raphael explains that it wasn't surprising to see Floyd Mayweather Jr. encounter financial difficulties after his boxing career. He notes that anyone closely observing Mayweather's habits could have anticipated this outcome, given how openly he spent his money. His lifestyle was extremely lavish and highly public, featuring private jets, luxury vehicles, costly travel, and frequent displays of wealth. Raphael adds that Mayweather lived on a scale few could even imagine, and much of it was shared with the world through social media, interviews, and videos.
But the fact that Floyd would encounter some financial issues post his boxing career is not in any way a surprise to me. When you see the types of things that, if you believe anything that he puts on his social media, the travel that he does, the places he goes, and the amount of entourage he has, I mean, that's like a money pit. I mean, whether you're flying on private jets or you're staying at first-class hotels or you're buying expensive jewelry and cars and bags and you name it. I mean, it's all good when you're making those gigantic paydays and they're coming in, a couple times a year. You're making 40 million here and 25 million there, or even more, 100 million plus, when he fought the big mega fights with guys like Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao. But when that stops, that money doesn't,
Dan Raphael emphasizes that this type of spending behavior makes financial problems nearly unavoidable. Even for someone as successful as Floyd Mayweather Jr., unchecked expenses and a strong focus on a lavish lifestyle can gradually diminish massive earnings. Observers have seen him traveling in luxury, acquiring high-end possessions, and maintaining a lifestyle that demands constant high costs. In Raphael's opinion, this situation stands as a warning for both athletes and public figures. No matter how large the income, living beyond one's means can lead to serious financial consequences. The mix of visible extravagance, heavy spending, and long-term money mismanagement helps explain why Mayweather is now dealing with financial difficulties despite a career filled with record-breaking paydays.
About the 340 million, it just didn't ring true to me, because Al Heyman who is not named in the suit, but apparently is supposedly part of this problem, whatever. But I mean, I've known Al Heyman and covered Al Heyman's fighters and his business since the day he stepped in boxing in like 2002 with Vernon Forrest. And all that time, and literally in terms of the PBC, you know, a couple hundred fighters that he's dealt with, maybe not personally, but that his team is and his company. To a fighter, you never hear anybody, even when they're retired and they're not with Al anymore, nobody talks bad about him. In fact, if you ask most fighters, they'll tell you how good to them that he has been, that the type of money that they've helped him make and the person that he's paid and the guidance.
Analyst Fannin breaks down the recent legal actions involving Floyd Mayweather Jr., explaining that after encountering financial challenges, Mayweather chose to take legal action against some of his former business associates. According to Fannin, despite reportedly earning more than $1 billion throughout his undefeated career, Mayweather claims a significant portion of those funds never reached his personal accounts. The lawsuit is directed at Showtime and former network president Steven Espinoza, accusing them of contributing to alleged financial mismanagement involving Al Heyman, Mayweather's longtime advisor. Fannin points out that although Heyman is not listed as a defendant, Mayweather argues that he received considerable support from Showtime and Espinoza in managing those funds.
According to TMZ, let's get to the TMZ. Floyd Mayweather sues Showtime, saying, "I'm missing hundreds of millions of dollars." Floyd Mayweather Jr. says he made over $1 billion in earnings over his legendary career, but the 50-0 fighter claims all the money didn't make it to his bank account. He is now suing Showtime, claiming they played a big role in his ex-manager screwing him out of hundreds of millions of dollars. In the lawsuit filed by Floyd in California and obtained by TMZ Sports, Mayweather says he's gunning to recover hundreds of millions of dollars in the misappropriated funds and damages resulting from long-running and elaborate financial.
The lawsuit claims that funds from major bouts, including those against Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor, were placed into accounts linked to Al Heyman instead of being fully delivered to Floyd Mayweather Jr. Years later, when Mayweather and his team requested access to financial records from Showtime, they say the documents were either missing or unavailable, raising further concerns about possible mismanagement. Fannin notes that this situation highlights how even elite athletes can struggle when managing large amounts of money, as oversight, mismanagement, and reliance on others can lead to significant financial losses. He adds that Mayweather's legal action is aimed at recovering earnings he believes were wrongfully handled, underscoring the complicated dynamics between fighters, managers, and media networks in professional boxing.
Those parties to see whether or not this is something that Floyd should have known about or did know about or maybe did not understand, because it seems very, very funny that Floyd would not know that the money was getting paid to Al Heyman and not directly to him. Regardless, I don't know the outcome of that. I will talk about this though. The absolute blatant karma up in Floyd Mayweather's face for all the smack he talked about Muhammad Ali and how Muhammad Ali's name was only worth $50 million and he sold half of his name for $50 million and how he's made so much more money and that makes him all of that. Talked about how Muhammad Ali, I'm sure, or I don't know if he did, but I'd heard, talked about Floyd. Yeah, he did, because he talked about his money and how he had to sell his name because he didn't have.
WAC 100 explains that Floyd Mayweather Jr. remains composed and largely untouched by outside opinions or social media, which he doesn't actively monitor himself. According to WAC 100, much of Mayweather's wealth is handled through a network of business ventures, often organized via trusts, companies, or investment groups, making direct ownership less obvious to the public. This structure helps ensure his financial stability, even if it isn't immediately visible from the outside. Despite common misconceptions, Mayweather is said to be satisfied with his lifestyle and confident in his resources. WAC 100 also stresses that for Mayweather, true wealth extends beyond money. He values his family deeply and finds fulfillment in spending time with his grandson, showing that personal happiness and stability matter just as much as financial success.
Going on out there, it's phasing him but get to him. He doesn't even control his social media. He doesn't see it. I'm telling you, he doesn't see it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's posting himself. He has someone that
he doesn't see it. He doesn't pay it any attention. When I need something done, I have to send it to different channels for it to get done. But no, he's definitely not. I mean, we know that. He has tons of businesses going on. They were making accusations that he didn't own the things he owned. You're not going to find nothing in Floyd's name directly. You're not going to find, when you're dealing with that type of money and those type of situations, you know this, Vlad, it's set up. It could be a foundation, a trust.
Yeah, shell companies, corporations, LLCs, whatever.
I know some of these people that they own, they'll say they own 40 different companies, but what it is, they're part of a...
That's all for today's video. Make sure you stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.